psychology of feeling stuck. What if I told you that most people aren't broken, depressed, or fundamentally flawed? What if the real problem is that they're questless? If you feel like you've been stuck living the same life that you've grown to hate, I'm about to break down the psychology of what's really going on here, so you know exactly what you need to do to turn your life around. Here's something that will change how you see everything. Your mind is a story engine. Stories are how we make sense of the world, how we find meaning, how we navigate through chaos. But here's where most people get trapped. If you get stuck in your own story due to fear or laziness, nothing makes sense anymore. Your mind becomes narrowed in on a chaotic mess of thoughts, and it becomes nearly impossible to see a way out. You wake up, go through the same routine, face the same problems, repeat the same patterns, and wonder why life feels so meaningless. But you're not seeing the bigger picture. You're not seeing that you've stopped being the author of your own story and started being a passive character in someone else's script. But here's where it gets interesting. When a story becomes interactive, it transforms into something completely different. It becomes a game, and your psychology runs entirely on feedback loops. This is why you can log 8 hours playing World of Warcraft without blinking an eye, completely absorbed and energized, but you can't stand even 30 minutes at a job you hate. It's not that you're lazy or unmotivated, you're just playing the wrong game. Think about this for a moment. Most people think they're depressed, but what's really happening is much simpler and more fixable. If you don't choose a game to play with your life, society will assign one to you. And the games that society wants you to play, the default scripts of go to school, get a job, work for 40 years, retire, these games get boring extremely fast. You would immediately stop playing a video game if it made you repeat the same quest for 10 years straight. You'd delete it from your computer and never look back. But somehow, we've been conditioned to accept this exact scenario as normal life. Since this is the only existence you were taught, and you haven't made constant self-education and experimentation core values of yours, you can't even see the infinite number of quests lying around you that would bring genuine enjoyment back to your life. The solution to feeling bored, lost, or what most people mistake for depression isn't therapy, medication, or waiting for external circumstances to change. The solution is to create your own game and accept one quest after another until you don't even recognize the person you used to be. But here's a crucial distinction that most people get wrong about freedom. You don't actually want freedom from all rules and structure. What you really want is the freedom to create your own rules. The only reason you think you want complete freedom is because you don't want to conform to the limitations that someone else placed on you without your consent. But if you actually got that total freedom, no structure, no rules, no constraints, your mind wouldn't be able to process anything meaningful, and your life would get significantly worse, not better. Complete freedom is psychological chaos. Your brain needs frameworks, boundaries, and clear objectives to function optimally. True freedom lies in becoming the game designer of your own existence. Here's how you create your own game that actually works. First, set clear goals that define what winning looks like specifically to you, not what society says winning should look like. Second, create immediate feedback loops through daily quests. weekly missions, and monthly boss fights that let you know if you're progressing or falling behind. Third, impose your own challenging rules that add difficulty and meaning to the game. Fourth, become aware of what's actually at stake. What happens if you don't win your own game? And fifth, commit to developing the knowledge and skills that every new level requires. Friedrich Nietzsche said something profound about happiness that most people completely misunderstand. He said, happiness is the feeling that power is growing, that resistance is overcome. When he said power, he didn't mean power over other people or dominance in the traditional sense. He meant the feeling of increasing competence, the satisfaction of overcoming challenges, the deep fulfillment that comes from becoming more capable than you were yesterday. Your life loses its spark because you have vague goals with no clear definition of success. You have no immediate feedback telling you whether you're winning or losing. You have no sense of urgency or meaningful stakes. You have no compelling narrative that makes you the hero of your own story. And you have no consistent development that makes you more capable over time. Without these elements, you don't have a frame that prevents your mind from going insane with boredom and anxiety. You don't have a self-imposed mental model that distractions and negativity can't penetrate. You're not living in your own intentionally designed world. You're drifting through someone else's. Let me give you concrete examples of what this looks like in practice. For fitness, my definition of winning looks like having a physique with visible muscle mass and 10% body fat. I have daily quests of hitting 2,500 calories and spending an hour at the gym. I have rules like eating 90% whole foods and getting 200 grams of protein while maintaining perfect form with my lifts. My weekly missions involve running 15 miles. My monthly goals are hitting new personal records on my major lifts. The stakes are clear. If I don't win this game, I end up obese, unhealthy, and lacking confidence. To succeed at all of this, I must constantly supplement with education about nutrition, training, and recovery. For business, I have specific revenue goals, scheduled deep work sessions, weekly project completions, bi-monthly product launches, and core values that push me to build something genuinely meaningful rather than just profitable. The stakes are becoming broke and having to return to a job I hate. When these frameworks guide my focus, it becomes nearly impossible to worry about meaningless drama or get distracted by social media nonsense. Most people don't find this approach deeply enjoyable because they see it as an obligation rather than a choice they're making to avoid the dire consequences of doing nothing meaningful with their lives. They don't approach every situation as a game that they're actively choosing to play and win. Here's what's happening in your brain when you feel stuck and questless. The mind craves order. It needs a hierarchy of goals, a quest that helps make sense of and filter through daily chaos. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the godfather of flow psychology, discovered that boredom and anxiety both stem from something called psychic entropy. Entropy basically means that things naturally fall apart or become messy over time if you don't actively maintain them. Think of how your room gets cluttered if you don't clean it, or how a sandcastle crumbles at the beach without constant maintenance. Csikszentmihalyi applied this concept to explain what happens in our minds. When our thoughts and attention aren't focused on something meaningful and challenging, our mental state becomes scattered and chaotic, leading directly to boredom or anxiety. Just as you need to put consistent effort into keeping your physical space organized, you must also direct your mental energy toward engaging activities to prevent your inner world from becoming disordered and overwhelming. It's completely normal to feel bored or anxious sometimes, but if you don't view those feelings as signals to make a small pivot in your life or start searching for a new quest, they slowly amplify until you fall into a lower state of consciousness that you might label as depression. Your mental room becomes so dirty and chaotic that you don't even know where to start cleaning. You're bored because you haven't exposed yourself to potential futures that would demand an increase in your skills and knowledge. You're anxious because you've projected too far into an uncertain future without developing the required competence to handle what you're imagining. The sweet spot that brings genuine enjoyment back into your life occurs exactly where the challenge level of a goal meets your current level of skill and knowledge. Too easy and you're bored. Too difficult and you're anxious. But right in that perfect middle zone, you experience what psychologists call flow, complete absorption, effortless concentration, and deep satisfaction. The secret to a good life isn't achieving some final destination or accumulating enough stuff. The secret is never-ending progress through your own personally chosen story. The secret lies in the continuous pursuit of your unique potential, because that's where the flow of new information, growth, and meaning is maximized. You don't leap blindly into the unknown and hope for the best. That's not courage, that's recklessness. Instead, you take calculated steps forward. You metabolize each new experience without overwhelming yourself. Then, when you level up, and that stage becomes your new normal, you accept the next quest that challenges you to grow again. Think of yourself as a character in a role-playing game. You start off as level 1 with no special skills, no defining traits, no chosen profession. You go through the tutorial phase, grind out experience points, and gradually create the character you would actually enjoy playing as. Increasing your level in this life game allows you to take on more interesting and complex challenges, which makes life itself exponentially more engaging and meaningful. Looking at the psychological research on ego development by Suzanne Cook-Greuter, there are 9 documented stages of human psychological maturity. Each level represents a more sophisticated way of making sense of the world, handling complexity, and engaging with reality. The Questless feel empty and stuck because they're trapped being the same person year after year. They haven't consciously developed who they are, which severely limits the range of experiences they can find meaningful or challenges they can find engaging. When you treat life as a game with intentional progression, you're not just achieving external goals or accumulating achievements. You're becoming someone who can perceive and engage with more complex patterns, relationships, and challenges. Someone at a higher level of development can handle nuanced situations that would completely paralyze someone stuck at a lower stage. At each stage of development, at each level in your personal game, you expand what you're capable of being. Your self-concept literally becomes more expansive. More perspectives become available to you. More skills become accessible. More ways to engage with reality open up. That's how you bring a genuine sense of excitement and purpose back into your life. Not through external changes or waiting for the perfect circumstances, but through the deliberate choice to become more than you currently are. Your challenge for this week is simple. Choose one area of your life and gamify it. Set a clear goal, create daily quests, establish rules that challenge you, identify what's at stake, and commit to learning what you need to level up. Start treating yourself as a character worth developing rather than a victim of circumstances. Stop waiting for motivation or inspiration to strike. Stop hoping that external changes will fix your internal emptiness. Start designing your own game, accepting your own quests, and becoming the person you'd actually respect and enjoy being. You're not broken. You're not fundamentally flawed. You're not even really depressed. You're questless. And that's completely fixable starting right now. I share timeless wisdom like this every week. Follow for more insights you can start using today.